The rematch is today at Lansdowne Park, with the Rough Riders needing another win to keep their playoff hopes alive. Also ahead on the CFL Report, a Blue Bomber who's been firing strikes all season. We'll meet Ottawa running back Reggie Barnes. And this week's flashback takes us to the business world.
It is a cold, wet, miserable late October afternoon in Ottawa as we welcome you to Lansdowne Park, where the weatherman has abdicated his responsibilities this weekend, and we're left with an awful mess in the weather department, a mess that will be a principal factor in this game between the Blue Bombers and the Ottawa Rough Riders. 35 minutes to kickoff, and a warm welcome on a cold day to the CFL Report from Lansdowne. I'm Peter Watts. The running game likely to be a key in this game. Because of the weather conditions, it's going to be tough to throw the football. Last week, the Blue Bombers, who lead the league in turnover ratio, committed 6 in the loss to Ottawa, and that, in the opinion of Mike Riley, was a key to the game.
This is part 2 of a home-and-home series between these two teams. Last week, Ottawa's safety Scott Flagel returned an interception for a touchdown with 33 seconds to play, giving the Riders a 27-20 win. That win put Ottawa into a two-way tie with Hamilton for the third and final playoff spot in the Eastern Division. Hamilton has beaten Ottawa 3 times this year, so the Ticats would make the playoffs if the teams were tied at the end of the season. As for Mike Riley and the Bombers, they've already clinched first place. Their main concern is to finish the season playing up to their potential, so they're ready for the playoffs. Also at stake for the Blue Bombers is the CFL record for interceptions. The Bombers have a team record 45 so far, and that's one short of the CFL record.
As usual, the boys in the booth have it warm and cozy and certainly dry, while I'm down here on the sidelines praying that the weather gets no worse. Well, let's get some thoughts on the game now. Here's John Wells, Leaf Petters.
Peter, it is absolutely perfect up here. As a matter of fact, we may be in our shirt sleeves before the afternoon is over, right?
No. Peter's where he should be.
The Ottawa Rough Riders have to win to stay in playoff contention, but realistically, when you look back on this season, Leaf, the Riders shouldn't be in this predicament.
You know, John, you're right. I think as the season unfolds, they will look back and they will say there were 2 games against Hamilton we should have won. One on a Dean Dorsey missed field goal, the other on a pass that deflected through Bruce Holmes' hands into the hands of Earl Winfield. Those were 2 games they should have won, and if in fact they don't make the playoffs, I think they'll look back and say that was it.
The Rough Riders must win and hope. The magic number with the Hamilton Tiger Cats, as they're tied for top spot, or for third spot, I should say, is 2, and any combination of Ottawa losses and Hamilton wins, and it's over for the Rough Riders. But they have a chance, and they haven't been around this playoff hunt for years.
One of the keys for Ottawa this year has been the slow but steady development of leadership in that dressing room. People like Jeff Smith and people like Reggie Barnes, who has been a big factor on the field, rushing the football as the second leading rusher in the game. Let's meet him now in this CFL Report.
Ottawa rookie Reggie Barnes is a major reason why the Rough Riders are a much improved team this season. Barnes, despite missing 3 games earlier in the year with a sprained knee, had gained over 1,000 yards along the ground in only his 15th game. As a runner, Barnes has a few good moves. In his spare time, he can be found showing off these moves at dance clubs in the Ottawa area.
Well, toward the clubs. I haven't seen a lot of the historical sites or anything like that, but that's a nice town.
You're a regular at the dance club?
Well, not a regular, but I frequent them a little bit.
Now for our hits of the week. And our first hit comes from a game between Ottawa and Hamilton. Ottawa's Sean Foudy is zeroing in on the ball carrier, while Hamilton's Dan Sellers zeroes in on Foudy. Here's another look. Foudy didn't even see Sellers coming, and the big cat puts the hat on Ottawa's number 15. Runner-up for the week. From the Skydome in Toronto, Saskatchewan's Lucius Floyd out in the flats, and he gets flattened by the Argos' Don Wilson. Here's a look at the replay. Floyd misses the ball, but Wilson doesn't miss Floyd. Now back to Ottawa for our hit of the week. Hamilton's Earl Winfield is coming across the middle. Now the pass is incomplete, but that certainly doesn't stop Ottawa's Paul McGowan. Linebacker McGowan isn't well known right now, but he should be a little more famous now that he's delivered our CFL Hit of the Week. Trivia time. Our first clue, and of course, always the toughest. This former CFL star played his college ball at Syracuse University. He was then offered a contract with the New York Giants, but turned it down and returned home to Canada, where he signed his first professional contract with the Hamilton Tiger Cats in 1972.
That man was a great performer on this field for a lot of years. And here's what the matchup looks like between these two teams now, with a half hour to go until kickoff.
Our second clue. In 1978, he was a double award winner. That year, he was named the CFL's Most Outstanding Canadian and also the league's Most Outstanding Player.
Welcome back to the CFL Report, live from Ottawa. Just a few minutes before game time and a chance to visit with Stefan Jones of the Ottawa Rough Riders, who isn't really as tall as he looks here. We got him on a little bit of a riser. And this team has lost so many games in the dying seconds by close scores. Must have been nice to win one last week in Winnipeg.
Yeah, Peter, it was. You know, we've had a lot of bad luck, and I guess some people say that you make your own luck, and maybe it's time for us to get 5 lucky breaks in a row now and see in a Grey Cup or something like that.
You personally are having a career year, and I know after the last couple of seasons where aches and pains have been a problem and you've missed some time, the numbers must be very satisfying.
Well, yeah, you're right, Peter, but it doesn't mean nothing if we don't make it to the playoffs and do well there. You know, it just doesn't matter. I really want to. My goal is to make it, and our team goal is to make it into the playoffs, and anything else is secondary.
You've been practicing your blocking. Looks like the running game might have to be a key on a field like this today.
Yeah, you're right. You know, it's going to be tough throwing the ball, but hopefully it'll let up a little bit and the balls won't get too soaked and we can move it down. We can move it downfield with some passes.
Good luck this afternoon.
Thanks a lot, Peter.
Stefan Jones of the Ottawa Rough Riders. Let's go behind the mask now with a gentleman who'll likely see the football a lot as well this afternoon. A nominee for the Most Outstanding Player Award from Winnipeg. The leading rusher in the lead, Robert Mims, behind the mask.
Winnipeg Blue Bombers running back Robert Mims has had plenty of reasons to celebrate this year. Mims, in his first full season in the CFL, has gained over 1,000 yards along the ground and is the CFL's leading rusher. On top of that, he's caught over 60 passes and is the Bombers' leader in number of passes caught. Before coming to the CFL, Mims spent time with a number of NFL teams. In fact, he was introduced to the CFL by current teammate Tyrone Jones, while both men were playing with the Phoenix Cardinals.
I met Tyrone Jones, and we was on injury reserve together, and we used to talk a lot and everything. He used to tell me about football in Canada, and, you know, never really believed what he was saying, so, you know, yeah, right, okay. And it just came about, I got released, and he was going to come back up here, and he had talked to Mr. Murphy and mentioned my name, and he put me on their negotiation list, and last year around October they brought me up, and I worked out.
Mims says he likes playing in Winnipeg, but admits there's not much chance he'd live there year-round.
Yeah, I like Winnipeg. It's a little too cold for me, and I just go back to Arizona where it's 40 in the wintertime. You know, I can wear some shorts, you know, I can barbecue. I think I'd do that.
Mims has a wife and daughter back in Arizona. Living without the two of them, he's had plenty of time for his favorite hobby, bowling.
I like to bowl, you know. Did a little bowling today, but see, that's 5 pins, so it's a little different, you know. 10 pins, you know, I kind of control what's going on. It's 5 pin, the ball is a lot smaller, but those were real strikes. I just want to let everyone know those was real strikes. That was me. You know, I want people to be believing that it wasn't, but it was me.
Right.
John the Juice Mandrich from the Ottawa Rough Riders joins us today on the Laugh segment. And John, you and the Rough Riders got a pretty good promotion going this afternoon. What is it?
Well, what we got going is as you come through the gate today and make a donation to UNICEF, you'll get one of my replica masks that I wear in my off days at night. So what we're going to do is we're going to ask the fans that every time the defense goes on the field, they put the masks on, and that way they become the 13th man on the field.
Some of them will have never looked better, probably.
Yeah, that's for sure.
Okay, you're here to try and make me laugh on an ugly day like this, pouring rain. We need some laughs going around here. And if you do, you will get the TSN hat. Now, you don't intimidate me, so you got to work hard. Have you got a good one for me?
Yeah, I got a story for you, a good ethnic story. Well, when I was a kid growing up in a nice, good Croatian family, as many Italians and Ukrainians will relate across the country, my parents were aspiring for me to be an accordion player. I was very happy about that. So about my second lesson, my dad dropped me off, and what you do is you open the glass door and you walk about 2 flights of stairs straight up to the conservatory. So as I was walking upstairs with the accordion, I got about 2 steps away, and it was like a rental, an old accordion, and all I had left in my hand was the handle. Things started rolling down the stairs. I'm freaking. Goes through the glass door, and to boot, hits the road and gets run over by a car. So like 5 minutes later, I'm upstairs with this accordion, and that was my last lesson, needless to say.
I tell you, I love it. Hey, put it on. Put it on. That's good.
I made you laugh? Right on.
Perfect.
I just want to say hi to Vic, Hanson, and Lois. Hope you get better in the hospital, and this game's for you.
Thanks a million.
Thank you.
That's a great story. Who knows how much that set music back with John Mandrich dropping out of accordion class after his second lesson. A CFL Report rolls on from Ottawa. Let's meet some of the CFL's best up next.
This week on the CFL's Best, we went to Toronto and asked the Argonauts where you would find the league's best fans.
Well, I'm going to make a really individual comment and be very different from what everybody else is going to say, and I'm going to say Saskatchewan. I think that any team that can draw as well as they've drawn over the years, and not only do they draw from Regina, but they draw from the whole province of Saskatchewan. There seems to be a real love for the Riders out there, and they've just done a great job.
Since I've been playing, the city I've been to, it seems like the fans come every game throughout us in Saskatchewan. They've been there when they went through years of not making it through the playoffs. And they've had pretty good fans. I think they've supported their team pretty well.
I think Saskatchewan and Winnipeg is running pretty tight. For one reason, they almost selling out every game. I know in Saskatchewan, you watch their game and all their stands is full, you know, and the people are cheering, they're behind them. And, you know, they had a slow start this season, and the stands were still full.
Wide receiver Steve Zatilny, in his first year with Winnipeg, is one of the Bombers' regular kick returners. Zatilny, a 6th-round pick in last year's entry draft, spent 3 seasons with the University of Bishop's Gators. In the CFL, he lines up opposite his brother Wally, who plays for Hamilton. He says his best memories at Bishop's were when he and his brother played together.
I got a chance in 1986 to play with Wally, and he helped me a lot, and I learned a lot off him, and we had a lot of fun together for that year, and it was nice to be away from home with him, and that would have to be probably the best experience.
Young Steve will have a hand in this game. Brother Wally's out in Edmonton playing with the Ticats, and we've got some masked characters on hand at Lansdowne. A little promotion by Joanne Pollock, the general manager of the Ottawa Rough Riders, who leads the league in finding ways to entertain the public. Our trivia answer coming up, and a CFL flashback with one of the greats of the game as the CFL Report continues.
Final clue. In 1975, This player was traded from Hamilton to Ottawa, along with Gary Cusick, in exchange for Doug Collins, Terry Wellesley, and John Crust. Some say it was the worst move Ticats GM Ralph Sazio ever made. The answer is Tony Gabriel.
And what a great player he was. Part of the last Grey Cup winning team the Ottawa Rough Riders had in 1976. Tony Gabriel, this week's CFL Flashback.
Great players make great moments. CFL Hall of Famer Tony Gabriel has provided many great moments. The final moments of the 1972 Grey Cup. The game's tied at 10. Quarterback Chuck Ely and Gabriel hook up 3 times to set up the game-winning field goal. The final seconds of the 1976 Grey Cup. Gabriel and the Ottawa Rough Riders trail by 3.
When that ball was coming down, there was just no way that I was going to drop it. At least I'd hoped anyways, and that's the way it turned out. I think if I had dropped it, I would have retired right then and kept running right out of the end zone.
And late in the second half of the 81 Grey Cup, the Riders are driving. Gabriel makes a heroic effort.
He was draped all over me. I managed to catch it with one hand, as I recall. And when the referee came later on with a flag, I mean, had I been called for interference, it should have been called somewhere earlier, in my opinion. But after the catch, to have the flag come out, I don't think that referee did any more playoff games, as I recall.
Along with his 2 Grey Cup rings, Gabriel was a perennial All-Star, the CFL's most outstanding player once, and the CFL's most outstanding Canadian 4 times.
The highlight of being able to just play professional football, I can tell you honestly, was the greatest feeling. Coming back to my hometown of Burlington, Ontario, and I'd always grown up with the Ticats, and to wear Hal Patterson's number, 77, to me was everything. And to be able to play professional football, it may sound corny, but that in itself was the most pleasing thing.
Gabriel retired in 1981 to devote all his time to a career in investment.
Back to the old questions, eh? I don't think Campbell Preferred D did anything except go down, unfortunately, talking.
He's been away from the game for almost 10 years now, but the memory of his feats is still vivid in many minds.
Oh boy, do you remember that 76 Grey Cup game when Tony Gabriel caught the game-winning touchdown pass against the Saskatchewan Rough Riders?
It's bad enough I have to watch it again. I mean, don't remind me of that. You know, it's not a pleasant memory for me, but great catch for him.
I was there that particular day, all set to vote for Leif Pettersson as the Canadian most valuable player in the game. Tony caught the pass, caught the touchdown. Ottawa wins. You didn't get the card.
You mean you let that little catch influence your vote? I mean, what kind of friend were you? Come on.
Absolute fact, folks. Let's look back to Week 16 and select our players of the week. And I would like to go to the Ottawa Rough Riders this time for a former Winnipeg Blue Bomber, Scott Flagel, who had an outstanding afternoon against his former teammates. This turned out to be the game winner as Scott Flagel carries it in for the touchdown. Biggest play of the game. Scott Flagel was outstanding the rest of the way, too, but that was the capper as far as I was concerned.
That might have been the biggest play of the year for the Ottawa Rough Riders. Now, Johnny, I'm going to change just a little bit today, and if you'll allow me, which you have to, I'm going to pick 2 players as my players of the week, and they go to the Toronto Argonauts. How about Pinball Clemens, who set an all-purpose yardage record last week in their big win over the Saskatchewan Rough Riders. He is having an outstanding year, and boy, another guy in that team that's playing equally as well is Daryl Smith, the slot back. 19 touchdowns, which is a new CFL record, and boy, no receiver has done it any better than Daryl Smith has this year. So breaking with tradition just a touch this week. I picked 2 players, Pinball Clemens and Daryl Smith.
I don't mind that a bit, and you know, it is a very tough vote for those voting in Toronto for the most outstanding player between those 2 gentlemen. Clemens won it, but DK Smith was oh so close and right behind. Those are our players of the week, Pete.
Good choices, all 3. Time to go to commercial here in about 20 seconds. Time to kick off about 13.5 minutes. Time to look at some of the faces in the crowd. Halloween themed this week's game, Lansdowne Park in Ottawa. We'll be back. Report continues from Lansdowne Park. Well, it's just about time to get to the award winners around the league. There are some great nominations, and the selectors for this year's Outstanding Player Awards have some tough work ahead of them. The CFL award nominations came out this week. Representing the Toronto Argos, running back Mike Clemens, who has set a record for combined yards in a season with 2,908 and counting. The old mark held by Rufus Crawford of Hamilton, set in 1984. Clemens will be up against rookie Reggie Barnes of the Ottawa Roughriders in the balloting. Wide receiver Earl Winfield carries Hamilton's colors, and the league's leading rusher Robert Mims represents the Winnipeg Blue Bombers. In the West Division, Eskimo receiver Craig Ellis having a terrific season. He leads the way in the nominations. Ellis with 17 touchdown receptions so far this year. Ellis's competition will include Ken Austin, the outstanding quarterback of the Saskatchewan Roughriders. Receiver Derek Crawford of the Calgary Stampeders had 3 more touchdowns Saturday in the Stamps' big victory in Vancouver. And the Lions will be represented by linebacker Willie Pless. Also this week, trouble in Edmonton. The Eskimos have lost 4 in a row for the first time in 19 years, and the papers are pointing the finger at the head coach.
I've been around a long, long time, and those things don't bother me yet. It's one thing I got is a thick hide. Some people might be sensitive.
Stampeders beat BC 54-29 on Saturday, so they have a 3-point lead over Edmonton. The Eskimos, with a game in hand, Saskatchewan is also in the playoffs. In the East Division, the Bombers at 11-5 have the best record in the league. Toronto's in, Hamilton and Ottawa in a real dogfight for the final playoff spot. And finally, bad news for Toronto Argo fans. Number 1 quarterback Matt Dunnigan, hurt again, re-injured his hamstring last week against Saskatchewan and is doubtful for the playoffs. Dunnigan had rushed for 2 touchdowns last Saturday before being hurt in the second quarter.
This week on Fans Corner, we went to Ottawa and asked Rough Rider fans which team, aside from their own, they would most like to see.
Well, I like the Eskimos mainly because, you know, they seem to play hard all the time. They seem to have, like, it seems like the coaching staff have their act together.
I'd say Hamilton. Why is that? Because they're always on the move. They're getting the ball down.
Well, I truly like the Oakland Raiders, but that's another story. CFL, I like Ottawa. Toronto likes to kick. Edmonton, just an old favorite.
Time now to open the viewer mail. This week's letter comes from Ricky Loke in Winnipeg, Manitoba. Dear Leaf, I don't think that in an 8-team league, 6 teams should make the playoffs. What do you think of the CFL playoff structure? Thank you, Ricky. Go Leaf.
Ricky, I have no problem with it. You know, in a league like ours with only 8 teams, you need the revenue. You need to have the extra game. So if you cut it down to 4 teams, you lose a game, you lose a gate, and it's simple. There's always going to be 6 teams in the playoffs. Like it or not, I like it. I think it's great.
Nice short season, too, really,
yeah.
You know, when you look at it. All right.
No.
Any thoughts or comments? Drop us a line. Care of Leif Pedersen, viewer mail, 1155 Leslie Street, Don Mills, Ontario, M3C 2J6.
So it's the Winnipeg Blue Bombers and the Ottawa Roughriders coming up next from Lansdowne Park. Local blackouts are in effect here in the Ottawa area, so please check your local listings. For the rest of you, pull up a chair and get set for 3 hours of entertainment. And a reminder, next week we'll be in Calgary with the CFL Report at 3 o'clock Eastern, followed by the Stampeders and the Edmonton Eskimos from McMahon Stadium. That'll be at 3:30 Eastern, 1:30 in Calgary. For now, I'm Peter Watts. This is the CFL Report from Ottawa.